Hey guys, this is a 1966 Mustang. We're going to try to change the points out of this thing to make it electronic, so we don't have to mess around with setting the points. Here is your distributor cap, and your points are going to be right inside there. First thing you want to do is disconnect your battery, which I already have loose. Then we're going to get into here and take off distributor cap, these two clips right here, and there you go. There is the fancy inside of your distributor. Now I'm gonna do it on the car. There's an easy way to take this whole thing out and put the points in there, and then you're gonna set your timing, but I'm gonna make this way as easy as possible for somebody that's new, that doesn't know how to set their timing. They just want to get some points in their car so they can drive around. So anyway, I'll take off a little rotor in here. These are your points. They open and close like that. And that's over time wears out. And you have to keep setting it every few thousand miles. So we're going to get rid of that system right now. Take it out of the car. It's really super easy. It just unscrews here. Should be 3 screws holding this thing in. Trying not to drop these screws down in there. Done and done. This is going to be for somebody that just wants to get this done without doing a lot of work. It's not really that much work to remove the distributor, but then you have to reset your timing and do all that stuff. So we're not going to do that. So here's your points. Now this is going to be hooked up to your coil, which we are going to hook that here. There's one wire right here connected, and we are going to take that off. Now I don't know who did this work originally, but this doesn't even have an end on it, so we are going to pull this wire out. Now it might be a smart idea when you're done to hold on to these, put them in your trunk or your glove box, just in case something happens to your electronic ignition. You can always throw this old stuff back on. Now here's what I got over here. Originally I got this. I thought, oh, it's gonna be fancy. I'll just buy a whole distributor, drop it in. It's gonna work great. The problem is, I bought this on Jegs. The oil drive is the wrong size, so it wouldn't drop completely down. It'd stay up a 1/4 inch. Trying. Hour later, figured out it's the wrong size. Although it does say on the website it would fit, it doesn't say on the manufacturer's website that it would fit. So we're sending that back. And I ordered some of these fancy Pertronix ignition. So this is pretty easy. We're gonna take it out. Basically you have a magnet, a pickup, and that's it. That's all we got. It's about the same price as that, which is crazy. So we're gonna stick this on the car. Over here, get my fancy screwdriver, which is fancy. First, I'm not gonna lose those. You're gonna stick the wires through the same hole that you took them out. Just like that. Now if you look at the bottom of this thing, there's a little dot right there that is gonna kind of get stuck in that hole where you took that screw out of. And you can feel it get stuck in there. Also, you want to make sure you leave this ground screwed in there. So we're gonna go ahead and put our screw through the ground. It'll be a little easier, I think. And then we're gonna stick it right in this thing. And we're gonna get it started with our fancy screwdriver. With the fancy screwdriver. All right. Now, it was just that simple, right? Gotta find the sweet spot. There it is. And that's where it's gonna be stuck in that hole. We don't want to get this thing tightened up too much yet. What we got to do is pull this rubber grommet through the side so no water can get in there. Then we're going to have one more thing that goes over here. This is going to rotate past here and pick up the points. But we got to adjust this to and fro, you know, close enough. So it says, I think it's a 30th. Let me look in the fancy instructions. Let's see here. It says a 30th right there. So I'll get my feel gauge and I'll stick it in between here to 30. Push it up. Push it up there. And then tighten this screw down. Just like that. Just like that. It's tight. Everything's tight. We're good to go. So, now we put the rotor back on right here. We'll stick the cap back on over here. It's gonna line up. You can feel it when it's stuck in place. It has this little notch and it goes over the screw down there. It can only go on one way. And you snap the clips back over. And now you're wondering, all right, looks pretty easy so far. It's got a couple wires. What do we do? So the red wire in a regular hookup would be going to the positive, and the black wire would be going to the negative. Start the car, you're good to go. But in the directions it says if you use the ballast with an external resistor, we have to hook it up before the ballast. So this coil says we have an external resistor, so it's not going to be as easy as we hoped. But the black wire, I will end up shortening this, but just for the video, I will stick it on here on the distributor on the black side. And your coil shouldn't just pull out like this either. I'll have to get that thing tightened up. But for the video, it's working out pretty good. And I'll get my fancy, everything's fancy. So now I gotta find a wire. You're supposed to run this all the way to before the ballast. The problem is, it's a Mustang. They don't have ballast like a simple Chevy would have. It has a ballast wire, which is under the dash, which you really would have to pull out your ignition switch, put this on to the C side of it, and that would be a long day. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cheat a little bit, and we're gonna find the wire that goes right to here. It's a switched wire. So we're gonna go to this sucker right here, but I traced this all the way back to here. To right here, this wire right here, which is gonna be the very last wire on the bottom side of your plug here. Is this wire right here, this brown guy. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it right here splice in our wiring and run a power right to there, and that's going to solve all that messing around under the dash. All right, so now I'm going to cut this wire, this old wire. No turning back now. So I got that wire cut. Oops. Now I need to get a new light that works better. All right. So now I need to get this wire and strip it. There's one end. Right there. And now for the other end. Right there. See how that works? 2 wires. So now I've got to make these connect again somehow. So now I'm putting a little butt connector on here. Shove it in until you feel like you have some good contact in there. And then key is to squeeze on the metal part. Give it a good squeeze. I would think that. And like feeling it pulls. Can't pull it off, so that's a good sign. All right, now I have another piece of wire that I cut a little long. And we're gonna twist these 2 guys together here. Make sure they're kind of even at the ends. So they go in the hole. Might be hard to see, but anyway, I'm gonna go down inside this connector. And they're gonna live there and be happy and grow old together. All right, let me squish them together. If I can get the thing in there. Key is to make sure you're going to squish where the metal is, not just where the plastic is, otherwise it won't do anything. All right, well, we got a good connection there. So now that shrink wrap I put on there, give me a snug. Pushed up over here. Don't really want these any bare wires hanging out anywhere. Gotta get it to slide on up. Just a little slide. Anyway, we got that. Now we're going to run this wire down and follow the wire all the way over to the distributor. So we're going to test that to see if it has power. Let me put this to a ground over here. My white wire, I'll turn on the ignition. Hopefully nothing starts on fire. Let's see, do I have power? Come on, baby. No power. Let's see if my ground is a good ground. Nope. Well, this is not so fancy. Oh, you know what I need to do is hook the battery, the battery up. That'll help. See if I have power or not. There we go. Put something on them. That always helps. And I got power. So that's great. Now I'll shut off the ignition and see if I don't have power. And I shouldn't have power. All right, life is good. So, now I gotta hook it all up. Basically, I'm gonna do the same thing I did the other wire. I'm gonna cut this white one and butt connect it with this one. Or I'm gonna use a spade terminal so it can come disconnected. I like the red wire. Did I say that before? It looks like a nice friendly wire. So what I'm gonna do is cut this wire off right here. And I'm gonna splice her up. Right, like so. I'm gonna put another one on. This one I'm gonna just a little crank in there, so when I stick it in, it's gonna get a lot of grip. There we go. Just like that. Now you're probably wondering, how are you gonna get it to be so it doesn't short out on the engine block? Well, this is how I'm gonna do it. Let's stick a little heat shrink over there. And I'll find the end. And I'm gonna snip some off. Just like that. Leave a little space. I know this is a little overkill with this torch, so I'll try to keep it away. There we go. One end's done. Now I can find the one under the car. If it hit the ground, which it did, which my business, we're good to go. Now I gotta kind of figure out where I want this wire to end up. I'm gonna leave it a little long. I'm gonna cut it right there. I know, red beat the white. You know, what can you do? All right. There we are. Stick that sucker on. I'm gonna put a little crank in the thing right there. Stick her in. Crimp it down. That's what she said. And that's it. All right. I'll put my little shrink wrap over there again. But this is only just so they can come apart someday if you're servicing the points or whatever. So now I'm going to slip that in there. But first, yeah, stick this heat shrink over like so. Come on, get over. And then we're going to stick that in like that. That's going to be nice and connected. I'm going to stick this one. Trying to make them meet up as close as we can, if not overlapping. Just like that. Now we're going to put a little more heat shrink. Try not to start the car on fire with the carburetor and the gas. There we go. That looks like it's going to work. All right. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is make it all pretty. I'm going to wrap this all up with electric tape, shorten the other wire, and this and that. But let's just see for funsies if it starts. No tools on the fan or anything that's going to fly. We should be good. Okay, that's on. It's on. It should just fire up. Positive, that's on. Jackpot. Anyway, that's it. That's how you put electronic ignition into a 66 Mustang the easy way without having to go under the dash. And you're gonna get rid of a lot of trips to the auto parts store buying points and condensers. All right, that's it. Have a good night.